Welcome back to 5-Minute Drum Lessons, where we get it done in 5 minutes or less. On today's agenda, applying rudiments on the drum kit. So I got a cool question about this, so here we go. We're going to address it. Applying rudiments on the drum kit. It's kind of a challenging question to answer, but we're going to look at some literal applications, and then we're going to look at mixing different ideas up a little bit. So the first thing we're going to look at, just to get into it, and I'm kind of thinking more about fills today. You can definitely apply your rudiments and grooves, and we'll look a little bit at that, but I'm kind of focusing on fills today. But to lead into the fill thing, we're going to start with a little groove using double strokes. So double stroke roll is one of your, foundational rudiments. And there are a ton of things we can do on the drum kit with it. So the first thing we're going to do is just sort of work it in on our hi-hat to a groove. So you can have like alternating 16th note hi-hat grooves. So if you can play a groove like that, you can double on the 16ths. So you can add doubles in there. You can, you could really go for it and play doubles all the way through. Something like that, if you want to be really busy. Or you can just kind of throw those things in a little bit. So that's one thing I would check out. If you want to apply some rudiments on the drum set, look at an alternating 16th note hi-hat groove and double some of the notes, and you're going to be playing rudiments for sure. You could just think about it as a double stroke roll exercise, but I'm sure, like if I just do this, if I go, I'm just going 1 and 2, 1 and 2. That's a 5-stroke roll. 2 doubles and a single. So I kind of think, you can think about it as mixing doubles in there, or you can think about it as a 5-stroke roll, whatever suits you. But, this, if you roll the first 3 notes, so you're going 1, E, and 2. Oh, that's 4 notes. That's like 9-stroke roll, I guess. So, and this is a nice segue into the fills. So, there are a bunch of rudiments based on the double stroke roll, like the 5-stroke, 6-stroke, 7-stroke, 9-stroke, however many, like they're just numbered, and it's just, you're playing a double stroke roll basically, and then stopping on a different part of the beat. And that's what all those rolls are for. It's so you can play your roll and stop it. You can stop it on the and or the E or the or whatever. And you're gonna be able to just roll for however amount of time you want and stop on that one precise note. But they're all kind of like double stroke things. So if you take 9-stroke, you're basically just going 1 E and 2, and you're doubling up to 16ths. 1 E and 2. So that's a great one. So you can kind of move that around. And then another thing I'm doing is sort of mixing, it's not necessarily a rudiment, but accented notes, and so accented 16th notes. Not really a rudiment necessarily, but mixing in mixing some accented patterns, which is just you're just keeping a steady rhythm, but accenting certain notes and mixing it in with some of those double stroke roll rudiments, you can come up with a ton of cool stuff. And and you want to think musically too. Try to create a phrase with it and do a little call and response with yourself, and it's going to make it musical. If you're thinking musically, it's going to sound musical. Another thing, what I just did at the end, this is just a little thing, but flams. Some guys use like lots of flams, and they're really talented at it. I wouldn't consider myself a talented flam guy, but I do throw them in. And one sort of simple thing you can do is throw it in at the end of your phrase, or throw it in on beat one. So if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1. So I'm just doing it on one, and you may not want that every single bar, but it's a kind of a cool thing to throw that in as a beat one. And your flam can be between different drums as well, and you're hearing hopefully that I'm doing the bass drum right before. So this idea, that's just a cool thing. Put a little bass drum before it. You know, that can be a cool effect. And, you know, technically we're applying rudiments to the drum set. And then, you know, 5 strokes. You know, it's a 5-stroke roll. You just move it around a little bit. And I think when you're using rudiments, like, I'm not thinking particularly about the exact rudiment I'm using, but I'm thinking about mixing in doubles and having accents and playing accented 16th note or accented triplet patterns depending on what I'm playing. But it's interesting because we work on rudiment. Like, you should definitely work on lots of rudiments on the pad. My pad's down here, that's why I'm pointing down here. But on the pad, and work on your rudiments. But when you go to play solos and you go to play fills, you can kind of just be a little loose with the approach and see what you come up with. Because chances are, whatever you're doing, it's musical, and you're probably playing rudiments, but, you know, you don't have to necessarily think, okay, you know, this is a 5-stroke roll, so I'm going to play 5-stroke rolls. You know, just mess around and see what you can come up with, because if you're doing your work on the pad, it's going to be in your hands. And then all you need to do is sit there for a while and just kind of let the creativity flow and see what you come up with. Some days are better than others. Sometimes you're really feeling it and you've got a nice flow to it. Some days you come up with nothing and it's kind of disappointing. But you do that consistently over a period of time, and you'll eventually start to develop your own ideas, things you like, and you'll start coming up with a way you play, which is super cool too. You know, you want to come up with a way that you play, and bring something to the drum set that other people can't bring, because it's you playing you. But to do one last actual rudimental thing, 6-stroke roll. So, or you can phrase it as a triplet. All right, I'm going to phrase it just as 16ths, just to keep it as, you know, on paper, the rudiment on paper. So, yeah. So take your accents, throw them on your toms, and play the roll part here. That's a 6-stroke roll. so that's a cool one. And that's a 6-stroke roll. But all the rest of what I just played there was just accented 16ths. See? Flam on one. One of my go-to things. So that's just a few ideas, and I hope it gives you some direction and some stuff to work on. If it leaves you with more questions or I didn't quite touch on exactly what you were hoping to, send me another message and I'll be happy to have another go at it, talk about it some more, and hopefully provide you with some information that's what you're looking for. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for joining me. Any questions, let me know, of course. See you on the next one.